Hi fellow plant lovers, welcome to Love and Lettuce. I'm your host Snigdha and this is my beautiful greenhouse where fruits, vegetables, flowers and beneficial insects all live happily together to create this wonderful paradise. In today's video, we are going to talk about how to set up a greenhouse to maximize its utilization and to make it visually appealing. One of the key benefits of having a greenhouse is that you can get an extended growing season, which means instead of starting a seed at the beginning of the growing season, you can start your seed way before your growing season begins and have a semi-mature to mature plant at the beginning of your growing season. Some other benefits of having a greenhouse is that you can have crop diversity, which means you can grow varieties of crops that don't naturally grow in your habitat. Greenhouses also protect your crop from natural elements like wind and excessive sun, and you can control your pests and diseases. The setup of your greenhouse totally depends on what your goals are. My goals were to maximize my food production, make it extremely visually appealing so that when I walk in a greenhouse, I feel like I'm walking in my dream. And third, I wanted to make it a pretty permanent structure so that I don't have to move it every 2-3 years. This greenhouse is very solid. It's going to stand the test of time for at least 10 years. And the reason I'm confident that my greenhouse is going to stand the test of time is because I've made sure it's not under any tree and it's not in a very windy spot. It's not in too much sun. It's just in the right spot that lets enough sun in the greenhouse so that my plants thrive, but it's protected from all the natural elements. So my first goal was to maximize food production. And how do we do that? We do that by growing maximum crops per square foot. So what I did is, all plants generally require a lot of sun to grow except for lettuces and Swiss chard. So I try to give maximum space for crops that have high sun requirements. So they are actually on the top of the shelf. So I have shelves on the side and I have raised bed at the base of the greenhouse. There are 4 raised beds. They are 4 by 2 by 1 each. And in those raised beds, I have planted crops that grow vertically. For example, your tomatoes, your kales, your bell peppers. And then on the sides, I have a 3-tier shelf. And on each tier, I have set up automated watering. And on the top shelf, I have strawberries because strawberries require maximum surface area. And they require a lot of sun to make sweet, juicy berries. So strawberries are on top of the shelves, and flowers also are on top of the shelf because most flowers require a lot of sun. But the lettuces that require less amount of sun, in fact I've noticed lettuces do much better when they don't get direct sun. I have kept them on second level as much as possible. So this greenhouse has hundreds of dollars of worth organic produce that I enjoy throughout the year. A few other things to remember while setting up a greenhouse, especially if it's directly sitting on the floor, that means it doesn't have a concrete base, is that you need to protect your vegetable beds from rodents such as voles, gophers, from digging through your vegetable beds and eating roots of your crops. So as protection, it's better to set up hardwire cloth at the base of your greenhouse and then put your vegetable beds on it so that the rodents don't climb through your vegetable beds. And finally, you can put a landscape fabric on top of your hardwire cloth to prevent weeds from growing through the ground. So now let's talk about watering system in the greenhouse. I for sure didn't want to hand water any of my plants, so we had to automate watering in the greenhouse, and it's working out pretty great. So let's take a closer look. Automate watering, we have 1/2-inch hose running on 2 sides of the greenhouse. This only waters the top shelf. So I've also had set up 1/2-inch hose at the second level in the shelf. It's kind of hidden by this lettuce, and also have 1/2-inch hose running at the third level here, and this works out pretty well. I've also been very careful of closing spouts behind these tomatoes because the tomatoes don't like their leaves getting wet due to watering. So the automated watering is set up using a timer, and within a minute it's going to start watering. So let me show you live how the watering system works. So let's do a quick walkthrough of all the plants planted here so that you get ideas for your own greenhouse. This is how we enter the greenhouse. As you can see, I have flowers at the start of the greenhouse, and this is a great idea because it attracts a lot of bees, and I see a lot of bees during the day hovering on the greenhouse. So as we go ahead, there is kale here, more kale. This kale got shaded by tomatoes, so it has not made it big. There is some basil, and there are 5 tomato plants in this bed. It's a 4x2x1 again, and 5 tomato plants in this bed also. And this bed also has kale. If you compare it with my hands, like you see how big the size of leaves are. And this is a pepper plant that had grown from seed. It's slowly making peppers. And on the top shelf, like I said, I have a lot of strawberries, and that's a flower plant. I'm waiting it to flower. There's some nasturtium too. And most of the strawberries are grown from runners. So I'm just planting runners whenever I can. As you can see, runners, these are all runners. And then we have carnations at the center of the greenhouse, so that when the bees or other insects enter the greenhouse, I want them to stay in the greenhouse. So there are flowers in the middle of greenhouse, few more flowers, and then we have our gorgeous lettuce and more lettuce. See, if you have lettuce on the top shelf, it just grows too tall, and I had to harvest some leaves at the base of the lettuce, but this is just growing too tall. So the lettuce do the best when it's planted at the second level. So here we have Swiss chard, and in this bed we again have a lot of tomatoes. We have gorgeous bell peppers, more peppers. I think I have few more peppers here. Yep, it's amazing. These are ready for harvest. And then in this bed I have a very productive strawberry bed. These I had bought from store. Like, these are 4 original strawberry plants, and they have produced a lot of runners, as you can see there. So we have a lot of runners in this bed, but this is one of my most productive bed, and my husband eats berries all the time, but they keep producing every day. And this is the other side of the greenhouse. It's a lemongrass plant that I grew from the seed. Some marigolds. My alyssum is looking very sad, but I have so many alyssums that I'm ignoring it, unfortunately. Swiss chard, lettuce growing like a champ. I actually harvested this lettuce. If you see, when you harvest the lettuce from the center, new leaves start growing from the side. So that was a good example. More lettuce. So these lettuces, as you can see, these are greener than the one that I showed previously. And that lettuce is again growing like a champ. Some more flowers. This is Johnny Jump Up. Some marigolds, more marigolds. I planted these seeds really late, so this is my small seed patch. And oh, lovely. This is the rose that I had propagated last year. So it's making it. I had propagated 15 roses last year. Pink and orange in color, and they are all growing very fine, and they are outside the greenhouse now because they are done with their initial cycle. They are actually mature plants now, so they are producing flowers. I'll cover that later. If you see, this lettuce is again growing like a champ. I have so much crop, I am unable to keep up. But it works out great because when you have guests, it's very nice to serve them fresh vegetables. Lastly, I have some crop at the back of my greenhouse, and these are tomatoes in the hydroponic system. They are not doing that good. They actually have started catching mold because I think these are too many crops in a small hydroponic system. I'm going to let this crop grow because I want to have a comparison between tomatoes that grow from the hydroponics versus tomatoes that I have in dirt. But I can actually tell you that the tomatoes that are growing in dirt are looking much better already. I will add links to all the products that I've used in this greenhouse in description below so that you can use it as a guidance when you set up your own greenhouse. So to wrap things up, greenhouses are amazing if you want to have an extended growing season. They not only protect your plants from unpredictable weather, but if you have a heating or a cooling system like the heaters I have in my greenhouse, you can enjoy your favorite vegetables throughout the year. So I hope you enjoyed the tour of my greenhouse today. And if you like this video, hit a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more gardening adventures.